Might start with an introduction from myself, as most of you will be familiar with me already. So I'm Ruby Coop, the Account Executive at SnapSendSolve. Really excited to have you all here today for our webinar showcasing the fantastic two-way integration that we have with Port Phillip Council, TechnologyOne and SnapSendSolve. This is Danny Gorog, our CEO and founder of SnapSendSolve.
Hi there, and thank you to everyone who's come this morning and made time. Sorry, I'm still admitting people to the webinar. This is a great opportunity for us to give you a bit of insight into the great work we've done, as Ruby said, with Port Phillip Council and TechnologyOne and our technology team around building this, what we call a two-way API. We've talked a lot about building this, and we actually do have solutions for basically all of the platforms out in the council space, including Pathway, Merit, and a basic integration with Civica. But I think it's been, we were approached by TechOne around this time last year, who said they had a few customers who were interested in kind of properly exploring an integration. And so we work very closely with TechOne on kind of building out what is a really first-class integration, which is a two-way, so it works both ways, but it also integrates with their CI Anywhere platform. And one of the big questions we always get is about how does it work with the NAR and the customer records. And so Mel will talk a bit about how we've solved that problem and built what we think is a great solution. Just a few updates from our perspective. We're going to show you a reasonably basic version of the two-way API working in the app today, but we've got an update coming out in the next week or so, which is greatly improves the user experience around the two-way integration. And we will very clearly show users the timeline of the request as it moves through council all the way through to resolution. A lot of you will know we just came off a great month, sort of our annual campaign, which we call Snaptember, which is all about getting the community behind kind of spring cleaning the community. And I'm really pleased to let you know that was a record month for SnapSendSolve. We got nearly 86,000 requests through the system across Australia and New Zealand, which is a huge, huge response. And a lot of that is due to your fantastic work in kind of servicing those requests. We ask our snappers to let us know when a job is complete, and on average, that's running around 80%. So 4 out of 5 requests that snappers put in are being solved, and they're really appreciative of that. And I think what that drives is great word of mouth experience for people who use SnapSendSolve, have a great experience, and they tell their friends and family, and that's really where most of our growth has come from. So that's a bit about where we're up to. I'm going to hand over to Mel from Port Phillip to give an introduction, and then we're actually going to take you through a kind of an end-to-end demo where I'm going to get SnapSendSolve up on my phone. I'm going to put a request through, and then Mel's going to show you how that's logged in the back end. And then after all that, after we've shown you that, we'll open up for some questions. So note down your questions, and we'll come back to you at the end. And then, of course, we're recording this. We'll make this available to everyone, so you can think more about it. Mel?
Awesome. Thanks, Danny. So, hey, everyone, I'm Melanie. I work at the City of Port Phillip. As mentioned, my role is Coordinator of Business Support and Improvement, and I get to work. I've got a sort of really unique role where I can develop improvements for our customers, both in systems and our processes. So this SnapSendSolve integration was really important to us. For those who don't know, City of Port Phillip is pretty much an inner Melbourne council. We have about a population of about 103,000, and our residents and councillors love SnapSendSolve. So why this was really important to us. So we get last year, we got 16,834 SnapSendSolve requests logged with us, which is huge. We had about 12,000 the year before, so people are just using it more and more. Just over a third of those requests that came through were dump rubbish, which is insane. So there was about 6,293 dump rubbish requests. And for context, we get only about 12,000 dump rubbish requests per year. So half of those are coming through SnapSendSolve, which means that our customers are a lot of our customers are using this functionality. which is really exciting for us. We're really keen on our customers using whatever interface or whichever way they want to communicate with us, whether it be by the phone, whether it's through our request system or via SnapSend Solve. We're really keen to promote any channel that makes it easy for customers to communicate with us. Now, the other reason that this is really important to us is that because previously, before this integration, our customer service staff were basically receiving the snaps and then logging them manually, which might be a way that most of you guys are also operating, which means that each snap was coming in, it was taking about 2 to 3 minutes for each person to log, which means that we're actually saving about 23 business days a year with this integration on logging them alone. We have that sort of side of it, but then we also have the side where it actually sometimes took a day or two for us to log those requests. So if a snap came through to us Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, the team may not have got around to it, logging it till Monday or Tuesday, depending on the amount that we got over the weekend, which meant requests such as dump rubbish, which have a 2 business day turnaround, weren't getting resolved until Wednesday, Thursday, later in the week. So we've saved a significant amount of time also in customers' time saved through this integration. And our customer service staff love not having to log 16,000 requests per year. I think that's sort of that's the main reason this is really important to us. We want to continue to promote the use of it to our residents because it is so easy. So we've started promoting it to our businesses most recently through some business portals and forums that we're using because they just want a really simple, easy way to communicate with us. So I might start there. I'll leave it there before we start logging them because I'll talk you through sort of at a high level how the integration works on that like more of a technical sense for you as TechOne customers. But then I'll also just show you the request screen and how it looks, which is really great because it basically looks the same as all other requests. So really good for training and consistency across the TechOne platform. So, Danny.
Thank you, Mel. That was a great introduction. And I'm going to now, on my iPhone, I'm going to share my screen and we'll just get straight into it. So, okay, you can all see my screen. And yep. So here's my screen, here's SnapSend Solve. I'm assuming most of you have seen SnapSend Solve before. I'm going to go in and start a new request, and I'm gonna actually just put it at Carlisle Street, which is in St Kilda, and I'm going to confirm my address. We go out and we pick up all the incidents in the area. I'm going to choose street cleaning because that's the one we're going to demo. I'm not even going to take a photo. I'm just going to say test report for now.
Do you want to do it?
I'll do a photo. Yeah, sure. I'll do a photo. Add a photo. Just take a photo of the screen. It's very meta. And I'll click next. And it's going to go to City of Port Phillip. They've got emergency number there. It's got all my details. I'm going to hit send. And there's the report now done. All right, Mel, so I'm going to unshare my screen. I'll hand over to you to see what happens.
Wonderful. All right. I will now share my screen. So let's start at the start. So basically, Danny's sent through the street cleaning request. Excellent. I'll start at this sort of high level, and I'm going to sort of go over this at this level because I'm not sure if we've got customer, technical, who we've got today. Basically, what happens is it comes in through a payload in a connector. I've learned a lot about this setting these up. Which you can see here. Pretty much we download all the reports and we set this up to a schedule. So each time we get a report through SnapSend Solve, basically it comes in all through here. You don't need to know too much about it. And then it comes back into our request system through a T-script. Now, there's actually really, really good videos from TechOne on how this integration works. So I would recommend for anyone who hasn't had a chance yet to go into the T1 University and have a look up both the integration, maintaining your SnapSend Solve requests and setting up the two-way integration, because they explain everything really, really well. In a simple sense, they come in through a connector. They then come into this T-script, which basically reads the connector and pushes those requests into our request system. Let's see if Danny's request has come through yet. We hope it has. If not, here it is. Perfect. So this is Danny's request that's just been logged. So you can see that it's come through like any other customer request that we receive. I will open this up. We've received the request. It's sitting here as a new request. So in SnapSend Solve, this would currently show for Danny that this is just a new request that City of Port Phillip has received. Once we start moving through it, you'll see that our stages update, but so will the stages in SnapSend Solve. So they will update concurrently with our stages, which is really great because it's providing the customer with that, I guess, knowledge that it's moving through. And they can see that by checking the app. And one of the things that's important for us at Port Phillip is that customers don't need to move between things to see what's going on. They've logged it via SnapSend Solve. They can see what's going on in SnapSend Solve.
Mel, I might pause you there and I might just jump into...
Absolutely.
I'll show you...
Oh, yes.
I'll just show you how that looks. So I'm just going to share my screen. Just unshare your screen for a second.
Share. There you go.
Okay, I'll share my screen again. I'll jump back into the app. Okay, I'll jump back into SnapSend Solve. There it is. You can see in my... in my home, there's my request, and that's now moved. The report status is now in progress. And you can also see that under City of Port Phillip, there's a reference ID, which is Port Phillip's internal reference ID for this request. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
There you can see the request. All right, I'll give you back the screen now.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to actually start us at the bottom and work our way up because I think the bottom's probably the best part. So in your attachments, you now actually have, easily and quickly, you can see the image that the meta image that Danny logged. You can also see the SnapSend Solve reporter URL. So this is what you currently get through if you get those emails from SnapSend Solve. So you can open this up really easily, and you can see all the information that's been provided from SnapSend Solve. So you don't lose that in the integration, which I think is really important. So you can see that it was a street cleaning request, when it was logged, the report ID from SnapSend Solve, all the information provided, including the image. You can also, for those, we use this quite a lot at Port Phillip, but for those who also want to reassign it to the relevant authority, you can come in here and do it this way. So you can come in, click on reassign, and then it'll give you a list of all the relevant service authorities that you can reassign it to. So I think that's probably another important thing there, just to note. And you can see that they've got their reference ID, as Danny just showed you on the Snap on his side.
And just again, just to pause you there on the reassign, that's a good place to just make a couple of comments. So when we reassign a request, if you click on that now, you'll get a list of different authorities just so you can see. What we do is, again, for the user experience, we kind of seamlessly move that request into a different authority. And the experience for the snapper is we tell them that it's been reassigned, we send the new request to the new authority, and any updates that happen with that authority go through the app. So it's one seamless experience for the community member. And I think that's one of the big problems that we're trying to solve here, which is like there's so much complexity in kind of working out who's responsible for what. We just kind of trying to build a very simple interface for the community member so that they're your eyes and ears out in the community. They let you know the problem, and you're actually council's the best place to kind of work out whose responsibility stuff is if it's not a council responsibility. So that's been working really well.
Yeah, we get a lot of Telstra pit lids and things like that in Port Phillip. So this has been a great function to be able to just reassign it to the right person without having that like backwards and forwards and having to call the authority. We have that faith, it's just going straight to where it needs to be.
Yep.
So you've got the attachments really easily visible, and you've got the SnapSend Solve URL. The next thing that I want to show you, you've also got the name association. So you've got the name, the property, and the street. So they're automatically associated through the integration. If I open, Danny, I'm going to open your name record.
Well, this will be interesting.
See if you've been logging lots of requests to SnapSend Solve. Mm-hmm. But for those who are au fait with the deduplication process in TechnologyOne, basically, previously when you were logging these, probably you if you weren't connecting them to the right name record, you'll be just creating lots of duplicate names, which is a massive pain. So what happens with this is basically each time a snap is created, there's an alias associated to the name record. Then what happens is if basically each time Danny logs a snap, if we've encountered the name before, the record is linked to the name with the alias on it, which removes that likelihood of all those duplicates being created in the system. So basically it'll read that, yep, that's where you know that's Danny, he's, you know, alias number 7, and then we link that to that name record. Our name team love it. It was one of the biggest, for them, it was one of the biggest impacts for this integration because managing names can be quite difficult at times, and this just removes all that difficulty through SnapSend Solve, and getting 16,000 a year. Getting potentially 16,000 names a year was getting a bit hard to manage for us. So this has been a lifesaver. Thank you for not logging too many requests with us.
I'll leave that up, so you're lucky.
Sorry, we've got one. We don't like sometimes when I jump out of it and go back and forth for 1 minute. So the other thing while it loads, where are we? Test report for Mel. There we are. So after that one, I'll jump up to here. So as Danny mentioned before, we actually do get the external reference ID through. So if a customer calls up and says, I logged my request through SnapSend Solve, my number is 2687154. Whilst it's not your reference ID, you can still search on this reference ID, which has been really handy for our customer service staff. Whilst the reference ID from City of Port Phillip is in the Snap, as Danny showed you before, it still makes it easy for our staff and to be able to pick up on any number the customer gives us without having to direct them to find our reference ID if they haven't provided that. Now you can see all the details. So you can see test report for Mel's in the details field as standard. It's all gone through and assigned to the right team. Any additional questions that you ask that aren't just in that details field appear in this notes field, which is really good to see what the customer's answered. So if there is that, if you are looking for additional information, maybe, you know, if it's abandoned vehicles, you're looking for the car registration and the car colour, etc., that would appear in there. The next thing I sort of want to show you is that as we move through the requests, you'll see that let's create a work order. All the information will move through just like a normal request. So the really good thing I think about this is that it does look like a normal request. You really can't tell the difference unless you're looking for it, which has made a bit of a difference for us. As I guess previously there was this, oh, you know, these are the SnapSend Solve requests and these are not the SnapSend Solve requests, and sort of trying to figure out how we dealt with them. These all look exactly the same. You basically can't tell the difference. So we've created our street cleaning request. My team are going to love getting this through come and clean this laptop. Now, a lot of you probably have similar integration that we have, where once you complete the work order, your customer request automatically closes. So I am going to approve this work order and then shut it. And what that will do is that will automatically close our customer request. So when I was talking about dump rubbish before, this is one of the benefits of our integration here. So when we, at City of Port Phillip, when we receive dump rubbish requests, they immediately go into our request system and then turn into work orders. So there's no manual handling in the middle, which means that when we log them via SnapSend Solve, previously we were having to, you know, our customer service team were assessing them, checking them 2 days later, sending them through to the right team, and then they were manually moving them through this. We've now set up this full end-to-end integration where we log the SnapSend Solve that comes in. So we've set that up to run every 15 minutes. The integration comes in. It immediately comes into our work order system. So there's no touch in the request system. We then push it straight out to our trucks, and our trucks can pretty much have it within 15 minutes. So we're really moving things straight through our system, and depending on how we're going or how the schedule's going, they're either collected the same day or the day after. It's significantly improved that delivery time for our customers with this integration. So I'm now going to complete the work. So when you, each time you complete the stage or the status in SnapSend Solve, it basically just sends that notification, which is the two-way part of the integration, where it's just sending back that notification essentially to SnapSend Solve, and it's updating the stage each time. So for those who are a bit tech savvy in TechOne, there's a create T script and then there's an update T script. And the update T script runs back through this connector. And it's going to give me a pane. So I might throw to Danny for a sec and I'll pull that up to show if you've got the status, because I've now closed our customer request.
Just unshare your screen, please, Mel.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, so I'm back in SnapSend Solve, and here's my request. And you can now see that it's moved to closed, and the date was closed, and that's the end of it. It's that simple. Then I can actually now close it on my end, and I'll close it as solved, and I'm going to give the council 5 stars because that was amazing service.
Thank you.
Less than a week, and I saw it when I was notified. I received progress updates, and then I'm going to hit submit, and that's done. And then it actually, in SnapSend Solve, we've got 2 areas of your history screen. So we've now got an active section, an active tab, and a closed tab. And so that report now moves to the closed tab as done. So there you go. Share. There we go.
Coming back. So, so you can actually see in our connector where we've actually come back to SnapSend Solve. So you can see that the status and the stage have gone back as closed or completed. That's the reference ID, just so it's quite easy for you to see that, and it's linking that to the Snap, and that the message has gone through, that the request has been completed by council officers. So this is basically where that's pulling back straight into the SnapSend Solve app, and I find it really easy to come in and just see what's been going on and make sure that it's all sort of happening correctly. So that's that sort of where we're pushing that back. So that's that two-way integration side.
I might just say here, Mel, as well, that message to Snapper saying the request is completed by council officers with our next release to the app. It's going to update so that the app will have a timeline view, and you will actually be able to see that message that's come back from TechOne that has been typed in, or whether you've got automated ones in there for particular incident types, will display in the app for the user to be able to see that custom message that you've put in.
Awesome. Now, the final thing I wanted to show you was actually how easy this is to set up. So we have previously, the way that we were sort of working is that if we had to make any changes, you know, if you're making changes on your side, you have to go through a bit of a process, get it all, you know, go through. We have an approval process we go through. So it just takes a little bit of time. With this, it's actually set up really simple for your app support teams to actually be able to fix and resolve issues. So if something's picking up a wrong code, or it's maybe not going to the right team because something's maybe not configured correctly, it's really, really easy for you to fix yourself. And this is one of my favorite things about this integration. So this is in the request system. So, and I've just gone into our integration template. So you set it up through an integration template. We've called it SnapSend. So as I mentioned before, there is a video that that TechOne have in the TechOne University that shows you how to set up all of this. A lot of it you can see. So anything that's got a dollar sign is already made by TechOne and is in the system. So a lot of it's pre-made. You just have to basically plug it in. So it's nearly sort of a plug and play sort of situation. But the part that I want to show you, this is sort of the initial setup, but then the part I really want to show you is this sort of back-end external type mapping. So I'll go to street cleaning to keep the theme. So basically the way it comes in, you get a list of all your selection type fields when you set up, when you create this. So basically you pick your request type, category or subcategory. So the way that City of Port Phillip works, which I know some councils operate, some do it a different way, is that we operate just at the type level, and then we do a lot of conditional questions underneath. It works for that configuration, which is common, and then the other configuration where councils use the type, category, subcategory structure, it also works perfectly for that, which is really excellent that it works in both ways, because with the request types, it's a little bit of the not the standard configuration. And we have a lot of standard fields that we like to populate, so we get information through. So you can see that our contact method, what type of request group it is, whether it's a community request, a councillor, or a CEO request. This is our division department service profile sort of structure. So we can predetermine these based on each mapping type that you get through SnapSense Solve. So whether it's graffiti, street cleaning, you set this yourself. And when I'm talking about how easy it is to change, if you come in here, you change it to my council, you click on a different option, click save, it immediately updates for the next request that comes in. So we do a lot of our questions based on responses to what the customer provides us. So this is one of our conditional questions. So if a request comes in under street cleaning, we want it to go to general street or laneway cleaning. Alternatively, if we had questions about like excessive leaves, or if it's coming through as an oil spill, we could change those questions. And then it's immediately going to go through a different path or a different configuration for us. So this was sort of one of those things that I think that it changed my life a little bit. It went from me trying to sort of work with teams to, you know, go through processes to fix all this stuff, to just immediately being able to click on a new external type mapping, and it's just immediately changes how it enters our system. So that's sort of probably where I want to leave you on. One of the big improvements for us is just that time saving, being able to resolve any issues or update any configuration. You basically just can come in and, I won't say that change because my team will be very mad, but you can just refresh your external type. So if you work generally with Ruby, to update our questions or update anything on the, our SnapSense Solve screen, you come in and you just hit refresh. It just refreshes immediately into your environment, and then you can just do your configuration. So it's really, really quick and easy. And that's probably where I'll leave you. I'll hand you back over to Ruby and Danny.
Thanks, Mel. That was a great demo. Before we jump into questions, I'm just going to show you, I'll talk briefly about this new experience that we're going to build in the app. And I can just give you a quick demo of it. So again, I'm going to share my screen.
So this is with the timeline view, and where you'll get more updates and the ability to really step the customer through step by step what's happening with their report, and really they can visualize that in the app now.
So I'm running now a kind of a new beta version of the app, and you can see that the way we display the incidents is a little bit different. We've got this like tile, which is kind of viewed, reassigned, or sent. And I'm just going to go through and I'm going to send a new report, and I'm just going to do a test report because we just did our office. I'll take a photo, another great photo for the system. Test, next, and we've called it the City of London. I'm going to send that request and click done. I'm just going to unshare my screen. Let me just show you. So I'll click into the request, and you can see here is the first timeline. And so I sent the report, and it's gone to SnapSense Solve. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just jump into on my computer to the portal, which Mel showed you before. And I'll just refresh that. And there's the request. So again, I can view the requests. This will all happen with the integration as well. But if you don't have the integration, you can just jump straight into this. I'm going to move this into in progress. I'm going to add a reference ID. I'll click update. I can also leave myself an internal note in this. I'll jump back into the app. Back into the app, go out. So sorry, I've just missed it, but there was a little red indicator to say there was an update. Click into that, and automatically it pops up with this view, which says your authority reference ID for the report has changed, it's been viewed. And then again, I'll just go in the background and I'll just close it out. I'll update it, and you'll see as I refresh it, you'll see that it's now moved automatically into closed. And we then ask for a rating. I won't do that now, but you'll be able to see that show you the view. So that's the sort of experience we're trying to get to for the snapper, so that they're in the loop, they feel like they're participating and sort of giving back to the community. And I think this really enhances it. All right.
So we might see if anyone's got any questions. You should be able to either pop them into the chat box, or you can mark yourself as unmute and ask any questions that you might have.
Yeah, I'll go first if I can.
Sure.
My name is SK Manjur Ali, and I'm from Melton City Council. Not sure you can see my face. Yeah. Excellent demonstration, Melanie. Now I've got quick question. We deployed the solution, one of the solution, but that was with authority. So we were sort of tried to do the total opposite of what you have done, because we wanted to move away from ECM TechOne into authority. ECM not being a proper CRM, it's a document management system. When I'm saying ECM, it's the TechOne.
Yep.
That you have. The questions I had, okay, so the reason, just quickly, everyone knows, the reason we needed to roll back is CSU, we couldn't accommodate all the features in authority as the excellent feature that you have in TechOne. And say for an example, even the original request URL, we had to break into two URL links because authority cannot handle more than 255 characters in one go. So that level of complexity we had to deal with. But so that, yeah, that's the reason we rolled back. And now we may be thinking of doing what you have done. Therefore the question. So the one of the very simple question is the comms that happens, and this is probably a question for Snap Send and Solve. The communication that's happening between the customer and the council, it's being handled by Snap Send and Solve, not TechOne. Is that correct?
In terms of the status update and the reference number, so it's automatically happening in TechOne. Automatically that reference number is assigned to the job as it goes into TechOne, and then it's automatically updated into the app and will give a notification to the snapper as well.
Yeah, so the end communication is between the customer and Snap Send and Solve.
Correct.
Okay, cool. And the next question I had is, you mentioned about connectors. Is these connectors is all in the TechOne?
Yep.
Okay, and the videos or instructional videos are available on TechOne website you mentioned.
Yeah, in the TechOne University. So if you just, when you go in there, if you just type in Snap Send Solve, there's two sort of pages. They'll both come up, and they're both quite good on how to set up the connector and how to maintain the request.
All right, thank you for that. And T-script is something being used in TechOne.
Yeah.
Portal.
Yeah.
Have you got any integration in terms of connecting the customer with the NAR record at all? Do you use the concept of NAR?
Yeah. So that alias feature essentially is what's connecting the request to the name. So that's automatically done through, when they come in, it's automatically done through TechOne as well. Yeah.
Okay, so if there's a new customer, then a new record will be.
Yes.
And it's okay, and it's based on the email. Or...
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So a new record will be created, and but the good thing is that they'd also be given like a new alias, and then every time we have that new customer snap, it's automatically essentially sort of deduplicating that.
Okay, and also sorry, I'm asking too many questions.
No, it's fine.
Last question. If I want to reach out to a tech contact from your end,
yep.
Could you please put in the chat the contact details for further conversation, please?
Yeah. Look, I'm happy to for you to reach out to me, and I can set up a meeting with our team. Okay. So yeah, that's not a problem. Yep.
So, your email, please. Thank you.
Yep.
So that's all for me. But excellent integration. But the last one that you showed, sorry, I missed your name.
Danny.
Danny, yeah. This is just a heads up. It's going to put a lot of pressure probably on the council people, because the reporter will now see all the view when it was happening and what needs to happen, but not necessarily. It's a great stuff as a user for me, I can track down what's happening when, like, how long it's been. But yeah, I don't know how council is going to react to that.
I don't think we're not trying to. I mean, we're not trying to put pressure on councils to act, act faster. In fact, we don't really hear much about that. It's more about like, let me know where it's up to. It's not about like how fast is this going to be resolved. It's just like, let me know where it's up to. And actually, we find that when councils communicate back to their residents, just communicate, not like it's going to be done quickly. They're much more likely to get a 4 or 5 star rating than if you don't communicate but solve the problem. So, part of this is about communicating and making sure that they know that you know about it, and then they're happy. I've done my civic duty. I've let you know everything. So I think there's a lot of that, which I think this is going to help. I think this is actually going to produce much more positive results. Yeah.
All right, cool. That's all from me. Thank you so much for answering.
Thanks, SK. We've just got some comments in the chat. So Felicity's asked, who completes the request? Is this the officer that it's assigned to? Mel, you might be best placed to answer that for how Port Phillip complete the request and who does that.
Yep. So Felicity, I guess the answer is it depends. So it depends on what type of request it is. So sometimes we actually send them all in TechOne through to resource pools. So but generally whoever completes the request is either the officer or our contractors out in the field. When they close the work order, it automatically closes the customer request, or it's the officer in the office managing the customer request. They can put the information in and then close it themselves. So yeah, it depends.
Thanks, Mel. Matthew's just asked, if we decide to purchase this product and have issues implementing, who do we contact for support if the additional customization is required? You get an account manager with SnapSend Solve, and our tech team is always here to support as well. And we work very closely with TechnologyOne as well to set up any implementation and that sort of thing to get everything going.
So Mel, do you want to, Port Phillip were really the kind of the first cab off the rank. We now have a few that are live. So Mel, maybe you could just spend a couple of minutes talking about that implementation. And like, if you were sort of, now that you know what you know, if you're kind of doing this at another council, what do you think that effort looks like?
So, and I just saw those questions from Sandy and Catherine in the chat, so I might use those as a sort of a structure for that. We didn't really have to make any changes, which was really great. What we did do, we did add a few more. We added a few more categories into SnapSend Solve because we had a bunch of data that basically told us that we're getting a lot of other requests because we weren't getting what the customers wanted through SnapSend Solve. So we worked with Ruby to add a few more categories and add a bit more questions. But on the TechOne side, we didn't really have to actually do any upgrades, which was part of the ease, I guess, of this, because it is sort of all set up, I guess, in the back end for you. So
and that was actually part of when we worked with TechOne, it was like, how do we make this like literally a tick box feature that councils can just enable, very quickly do that mapping. And that's exactly what we're trying to achieve. So I'm pleased to hear you say that it was pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But I think it is worth pointing out that we're very responsive, and Mel, I hope you back this up. We're very responsive to kind of any fixes that are happening. TechOne are obviously a bigger company, but my experience with them is that they move pretty quickly on making kind of little tweaks as we go. And we're actually also about to start talking to them about what the next generation of this integration looks like. So I think there's lots more we can do and will do. We sort of have to line up with our product roadmap.
Yeah. I think there's the exciting and the scary thing about being one of the first ones to do it, because you've got it's scary because no one's ever done it before, so you don't know what's going to come up. And we also, because we get 16,000 a year, we're a really good test for it because of that quantity. So if we're going to break it, if anything's going to break, we're going to do it. But both SnapSend Solve and TechOne have been really responsive. If we've picked up anything that might look a bit strange, or any ideas that we have to make improvements, it's both organisations have been really responsive to us to help look at those improvements. So we didn't have to redo anything. We just sort of plugged and played pretty much. Catherine, to your question, we are fully CIA. So City of Port Phillip was previously with Pathway, and then we did about a big 3-year customer experience transformation, moving over everything to CIA in TechOne. And we just basically do everything at type level, so we don't use any categories or subcategories currently.
Thanks, Mel. Now, Melanie Gurney, I think I can see you've got a hand raised. Did you want to unmute and ask a question?
Yes, thank you, Ruby. Good presentation. Thank you very much, Melanie, namesake here. So, yeah, just a few questions. So I presume that this compatibility in terms of the connectivity between Snap and TechnologyOne is on any version of TechnologyOne, or is it, which version are you on?
We are 2021B.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, good-o.
Yep.
That's what we are moving to as well. In terms of, you know, you mentioned that the customer can see how their request is tracking, right? Do you have tracking capability available to your customers to see how their requests are moving, whether it's Snaps and Solve or any other type of request? Or is it just open and close type tracking?
No, we use stages. So we have, we generally use pretty much for all across the board. We have in progress and work order completed as stages that we use. But we're also starting to use a few more stages just to give customers a little bit more of an update on what's going on. But that's accessed through the tracking part in TechnologyOne. We actually we anticipate probably more people use it by Snaps and Solve rather than there.
Okay. And do you have pending stage as well in TechnologyOne?
No, we don't use pending. We just go straight from new to in progress.
Okay. And you also mentioned that when the request comes in, right, and it's an alias, it sets up ID in the NAR for them. Yes.
Yep.
And so is that then it doesn't search the NAR in terms of, you know, identifying if that customer already exists. It creates a new identity.
Yeah, the first time I believe it comes in, it creates a new identity, and then it has an alias associated to it. But that may be, now I'm not an expert in this area, but I think that might be because it may not necessarily meet to our criteria to do that. And so we can't 100% say that Melanie Darmanin is Melanie Darmanin. But then through our name deduplication, it's, you know, mapping, we can connect those two names and then it will be that one name record.
And that's then recorded, it speaks back to Snaps and Solve. So then the next time Mel makes a report, Snaps and Solve knows that's where it's been linked up to.
Yep.
Okay, so a question then to you, Ruby and Danny. In terms of work on the Snap side, is anything being considered in terms of being able to interrogate organizations' name and address record rather than duplicate another name? Because it's going to create a duplication in the NAR that someone, I mean, if Melanie, you've got a deduped facility in your NAR, that's great. We don't.
Yeah.
Right? So it will be a manual process where someone has to then, you know, we're creating yet another record in an already crowded NAR.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mel, the answer is we haven't talked about it because no one's asked us to do it, but I'm very happy to have that conversation with you if you think there's a way that we can help do that, where we can talk to your NAR and kind of work out whether that already exists. More than happy to have that conversation. Because the way we look at it is, if we solve a problem for you or Port Phillip, it's going to be a problem that other councils have got. So that's absolutely something we can talk about.
Yeah, because Port Phillip, Melanie, you sound like you've got your system acts together, whereas we are still progressing to do some of this work.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mel, for the question.
I think, Sandy, we might have answered the question in the chat about the aliases and the, but Mel, were there any other manual sort of processes as part of the integration?
Nothing as part of the integration, but keen to know if there are any minimum assessment steps. So yeah, there's still that we use TechnologyOne's deduplication process. So there's still that I guess checking on that side. But if you want some more information, Sandy, I'm happy to hook you up with our expert in name deduplication. If you want to chat about it more.
Thanks. Joanne, I think you've got a question there.
Yeah, Joanne, I'm from the City of Casey. I work with our master data management system, customer master data management. So just in regards to name duplication, because that's a bit of a passion of mine, we do manage that through our master data management system, but we are looking at using that capability to act in between Snap, Solve and Send and property and rating to do that matching. So match the name before it gets into the system. So to remove that. So if you are having any conversations around that, we'd be really keen to be engaged in that space. And I do have a question as well in regards to contact information if it changes. So you've got a customer that exists in property and rating, you've got a customer that exists in Snap, Solve and Send. If I change my email in my property and rating system because I'm a ratepayer and I've provided that information, does that flow through? What are the impacts around that if customers change on either end?
At the moment, it doesn't flow through because there isn't that integration. And in fact, we've got a project. We get snappers asking us to change their email in their app. We don't have that facility yet. We're working on it. But I think that goes back to Melanie's question about kind of this more tight integration between the NARs. And again, I sort of reiterate, we're happy to have that conversation. I don't think that's going to be particularly challenging from our end. My experience says that it's going to be more challenging at the council level, how you explain it to us.
Yeah, to be more the process of if we change it, how does the customer verify that change, etc. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Which I think
and the other thing to remember is that not all Snaps and Solve users are ratepayers who will have it. So we get people who go from one suburb to another suburb and they're used to using Snaps and Solve. And so I'll use it in Port Phillip. I'm not a ratepayer in Port Phillip, and I'll use it so
cool. No, that's sort of cleared that up. I am aware we're not using CIA at the moment, but I am aware that some of those workflows have those triggers to that. If you make that change to a customer record, you can send confirmation of a change. So that might be one way we could work around those where we are getting existing customers where we're changing their data.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just a quick plug. I mean, this is we see integration as a bit of a journey, and I think where Port Phillip are is kind of is the end of that journey. It's a great experience, but we've got a whole heap of features that we can offer to councils before then, so we can do email customizations, we give you access to the portal. There's a whole heap of things you can do to help along that journey before you get there.
Yeah, fantastic. And great presentations, by the way.
Thank you.
Insightful. Thank you.
Thanks. Got any more questions? I think that's the end of the questions. So we're available. We will send through this presentation. A big thank you to Mel. You've been amazing. You've been amazing to work with. I think Port Phillip have been a really kind of cutting edge here. It's great to, I love the language around, like, we want to hear from customers how they want to talk to us. And so, we think we're onto something with Snaps and Solve. We think it is a great tool. We think it really does help the community. We're trying to work as closely as we can with every council that we work with. And I think if you talk to, we've got lots of customers now, if you talk to them, you'll hear that repeated. And so any feedback that you have, any features you want to work on, we are more than happy to work on with you. And Mel probably hasn't worked, she hasn't told you, but we're also working on some other features that are coming later this year. We're talking about QR codes, and Mel and Port Phillip have been great working with us on kind of, talking about how that might work. We think we've got another angle on making reporting even easier, even more accurate. And so when that's ready to show you, we will certainly send you information. But I really appreciate everyone's time this morning. It's been great to have the conversation and to be able to demo our product. Thank you from us.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks again, Mel.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot. Okay.
Thanks all. Bye.
See ya.